truck out to my buddy's place. He's just some backyard mechanic stuff. Anyway, my truck needs a little bit of work done, so I figured the best way for me to get to and from there, instead of inconveniencing one of my friends, was to throw my Sportster in a utility trailer. My buddy up here, he's got to borrow my trailer anyway, so it kind of works out for both of us. Without breaking it. I just gotta ride it home without dying. I got my truck all dropped off over at my buddy's place, and I just rode back into town here. I know it doesn't really look like I'm in town, but I figured I'd stop and go over a couple things on this bike because I haven't done that yet. I've put up, I don't know how many short form videos of this bike, but oh, we got some geese. Look at that, couple geese. My truck's all dropped off, and whenever I get the phone call to go pick it up, I guess either I'll ride the bike back out if my buddy's done with the trailer. If not, I'll hitch a ride with a buddy or my wife or whoever's available. But anyway, I figured I'd just stop in this little area here. I do quite a bit of filming here. I figured I'd just go over the Sportster here a little bit. So, I have had this bike since July of 2023, so I've had it for basically 2 full seasons. When I initially picked this up, it was pretty much untouched minus the seat. The first summer that I had it, I didn't really bother doing anything to it because I was just kind of excited to have my first motorcycle in about, I don't know, 8 years or so. And over the winter break, I put on this Vance Hines Short Shots exhaust, the VO2 Cage Fighter intake. I put on this really cool Amazon windscreen. It's pretty good. The Amazon windscreen, it's not really good for keeping the wind off my head. It's more so for my chest. I do notice, like, once I'm up to highway speeds, we'll say, I won't say how fast, but when I'm up to highway speeds, I do get a little bit of buffeting, but you know, it's just one of those things you just got to live with when you're riding a Sportster. I put on this sissy bar here, and I found this bag. It was like 60 bucks. I think that's like a half decent brand, but basically, like this thing right here just kind of slips over the sissy bar. The back straps, they're like a quick release, and I just feed them through the support on the sissy bar there, and it cinches the bag down. But I usually throw at least one of these bungee cords on there to hold it in place. I chopped the rear fender. I probably shouldn't have done that because now every time it rains I get like really crappy water all up my back and all over me. You know, that's the kind of stuff you do when you're cool guying your bike up. So because I chopped the rear fender, I had to get a light controller that would rear turn signals into brake lights as well. And initially I thought, you know, that's going to be really easy, but in 2014 Harley swapped over to like a CAN bus electrical system, and the little module that I had to buy, it cost me a few bucks, and I thought I was going to have no errors on like the heads-up display there, but cool little red light that is always shining right there all the time. I'm riding the bike, but you know, that's the cost of doing business when you're trying to be a cool guy, I suppose. So that is that's tucked in here. In there is my Vance Hines Fuel Pack 4. I think yeah, FP4. There's a lot of mixed reviews on that. I've never had a problem. The only time that I've ever had a problem with that was I had my my exhaust stud nuts backed off, and that was totally my fault, but the tune ended up corrupting itself, and it was this whole ordeal. But basically I just had to flash a new tune into the bike, tighten up the exhaust nuts, and it was good to go. Yeah, I've got both of those are tucked away in there. I also did a coil and horn relocation and a wire tuck. So if you know anything about these bikes, from the factory there's like a gigantic piece of plastic that goes underneath here all the way forward. They mount the coil in there. The bikes that have like the keyed ignition, that's all in there and everything, and I didn't really like the way that looked. It's just a magnetic phone mount. Doesn't do a very good job of keeping my phone on the tank, so I wouldn't recommend buying one of those if you have one of these. But yeah, back to the wire tuck and the coil relocation. I just really like that gap right there. I grew up watching like Jesse James and Orange County Choppers and stuff on the Discovery Channel, and I've always liked that style. So I figured I'd find a way to make it work on my own bike. And you know, it's all right. It's definitely not a hardtail, and on the roads out here, there's no way that I'm gonna ride a hardtail out here. No thanks. Basically, every light on this bike is an LED. The headlight, the front turn signals, the rear turn signals. When these front lights are just on idle, like just running light mode, they're white. They're fairly bright. And when I select my turn signal, it just swaps to amber. And that light controller that I bought, it basically made it so that the lights themselves don't hyper flash, but I still get a hyper flash on the heads-up display. I emailed the company and asked them like if there's anything that can be done about that, and that was pretty much a dead end. But you know, that's just the way it is. Sometimes when you're doing some work to these things, it doesn't necessarily go to plan, and you just got to decide what you want to live with. Another thing that I did to the bike too is I think that's 1.5 inch or a 2-inch tank lift. It's all right. It definitely helped with like the gap right there that I wanted. As you guys probably saw if you've watched any of my other videos, I have changed the tires myself, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all that I can think of what I've done to it. But I guess I should probably do a little sound clip here. So we'll fire this thing up, and probably didn't even park it in neutral. Nope. There we go. I'm gonna fire her up. every engine loves is to get revved and then immediately turned off. So yeah, the bike is pretty much done to my taste. I think if I could do it again, I'd probably would have done a 2-into-1 exhaust. Those short shots are just, they're super raspy and really loud. And like I've said in another video, I feel bad for riding my bike after 9 o'clock in the neighborhood. I try to be a good neighbor. I don't want to wake anybody up or be a nuisance or anything, but you know, I didn't build this bike for anybody except for myself. I shouldn't even say that I built it, I just bolted parts on it and I ride it. So yeah, the bike's been pretty good to me. The only things that have gone wrong have been my fault. Typical. The bike itself, it's really nimble, light, it's awesome to throw around. I just rode it down the highway, and I'll be very honest, I wish that I was on my Ultra Classic for the highway, but for what I was doing, the Sportster was the right bike to grab. So I have no plans of selling this bike. It's in the rotation. I like to ride all my bikes, and yeah, I have no idea when the next video is going to be out, but thanks for tuning in if you stayed for the whole thing. Appreciate it.